Please stand for the invocation and pledge.
Father, as we come before you tonight, Lord, we bow humbly before you, and Lord, we seek your face. Lord, we ask you, Lord, for wisdom, your knowledge, your understanding, and discernment, Lord. Help us, Lord, to govern this city according to your wishes and your will. Lord, keep us close to you. We praise you and we love you in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming tonight to the June 2nd public hearing and work session. I call this meeting to order. First on the agenda is the minute approval for the May 19th, 2026 regular meeting. I need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor, show of hands. Approved. Next on the agenda are the reports. The Finance Department report. Thank you, Rachel.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the financial report, we will be going through the preliminary revenue and expenditure report for May 2026. This is about a financial report for the fiscal year with 2 months remaining before fiscal year end of June 30th. We will start with the chief operating fund in the city, the general fund. Year-to-date revenues in the general fund are tracking about 92% overall, with the 2 months remaining for collections. Most of the city's larger revenues, like property tax, insurance premium, those revenues have come in year-to-date. And so we expect some quarterly and monthly revenue to continue coming in. But for the most part, the larger revenue streams have been collected year-to-date. Tax revenues are reporting at 101%. This is primarily attributable to the ad valorem tax on motor vehicles. It's the ad valorem tax that's applied when a vehicle is purchased. We've seen an influx in those revenues come in these last couple of months, as well as the financial institutions tax that is pacing above budgeted levels. Licenses and permits is reporting at 71% of budgeted levels. Alcohol beverage business license is over budget, and that's offset in part by the general business license, which is under budget. We are working with staff in contacting those businesses that may not have renewed their license to work on collections in that area. Additionally, charges for services is at 64%. Primarily for community center, vendor fees, police fees, and downtown garbage revenues. Fines and forfeitures is pacing at above budgeted levels, and this is your municipal court fines and your blue line revenues. Finally, miscellaneous revenues worth noting at 114% of budgeted levels. And for the general fund expenditures, we're tracking most departments at or below budgeted anticipated levels, with the exception of the library, which is at their budgeted level. And this is worth noting that these numbers do incorporate the fiscal year 26 mid-year amendment that we recently adopted to kind of true up our projections for the end of the year. So we expect to continue this pace and be on track with a positive position in the general fund at year end. We also look at the other governmental funds, being your SPLOST and your LMIG funds, those are your capital project funds. So we project your tax revenues and track those. They're reporting above budgeted levels year to date in the SPLOST fund, and then slightly below budgeted levels in the T-SPLOST fund. But be reminded that those funds are collected on a 2-month lag. So we don't see any issues, and we're not concerned about the T-SPLOST fund at all. We anticipate being at budgeted levels at year end. The LMIG fund is, as y'all are aware, the local maintenance improvement grant. So we received that money from GDOT, and right now we're kind of socking it away for some paving projects. The debt service fund, you will note, is at budget, and we will see later that that $56.96 is the last debt service payment we'll have in the general fund. So our debt will be extinguished there. And then finally, our water and sewer fund. This is our other largest fund that we operate, and it accounts for your water and sewer services. Your revenues are tracking at 88%. We're 92% through the fiscal year. We're tracking at 88% of revenues, but keep in mind we will have billings at the end of the month that'll come in, and this is not accrual basis. So, again, we're anticipating to be at budgeted levels for revenues in your utility fund. And we are at 73% of budgeted levels in your expense side on your utility fund. So conservative spending there, the revenues being on track and conservative spending, we are also anticipating a strong ending financial position for fiscal year 26 in your utility fund. That is a high-level summary of your May financial report. Welcome any questions that I may be able to answer now or research for you.
On page 1, it's been sitting there for a while. Now, you may have gone over it before, but the other financing sources, $83,000. What is that, or where did it come from?
So that's a good question, and we do cover it from time to time. I'm happy to answer any questions. This particular other financing sources, it can be a culmination of a number of things, but this one particularly, $83,000, is from your blue line revenues that were collected in the prior year. Those are restricted revenues that must be used for law enforcement purposes, and so we take those revenues that were collected in the previous year, and we apply them to law enforcement purposes in the following year. And that guarantees that we're utilizing those funds for that restricted purpose.
Oh, okay.
Any further questions?
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Police Department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll be giving the police report for May 1st through the 31st of May. Area checks, we had a total of 547, 140 incidents, 9 accidents, 17 arrests, 336 traffic stops with 160 citations issued, 175 reports taken. It's summertime. Families taking vacation, so please, if you see something, say something. If you're going to be on vacation, please stop by, do an extra patrol so we can patrol your houses, because we are getting out and going up and checking doors. We're also increasing the neighborhood and business checks. We're also going into businesses, actually updating our point of contacts, finding out who the owners are, and the manager of somebody, for if somebody and something happened in a business, we will have a point of contact. Are there any questions for the police department?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
appreciate it.
Brett?
Good evening, how are y'all?
Good.
So for the month of May, EMI continued the sanitary sewer evaluation. That's just about complete. And as a part of that sewer evaluation is wet weather tracking, where they'll do some portable flow meters. They'll set in some in areas and some basins in the sewer and see where we're getting some I&I, some inflow and infiltration to kind of narrow that down. That'll help us better go along with that smoke testing we had performed about 18 months ago. So that's part of that. They're going to be actually meeting with them this week to get that started. The GDOT contractors continue to relocate the water infrastructure on Bethlehem Road. They're just about finished there. And of course performed my site inspections for those installs. Prepared the community centers for several rentals during the month. We did on Providence Road a sidewalk connect about 400 feet. If y'all notice right past the daycare, then there's that little bit of property the city owns, and then there's new houses. Well, that area, that gap there was about 400 feet of sidewalk missing. We got that poured and in place. That'll keep people on that side of the road from having to cross Providence Road, as busy it is, and being able to access town without having to cross the Providence Road. I encourage y'all to check that out. It looks good. We still got some minor backfilling to do around that because there was a drop off and some drainage right there. We repaired some stormwater drainage issues on Railroad Street just past Dave's Appliances. We also graded and removed excess material on the shoulder of Railroad Street for several hundred feet, essentially starting up there near where the express store is, all the way down just about to Dave's Appliances. That area was holding a lot of water when it was heavy rains because the shoulders were built up so high over the years. So we removed all that, several dump truck loads of that. We trimmed several limbs on a bunch of roads around town for ease of sight. We completed the final grading around the exterior of the dog park. We got new signage put up around there, and also new dog waste stations and trash cans put down there, and also installed some park benches. I think we installed the final meters at Charlotte Place Development. We prepared material lists for the upcoming culvert replacement at Mulberry Street, Broad Street, and Atlanta Highway. And also met with some contractors that were looking to place a bid for the spring improvement project. Those bids are due to EMI tomorrow. This was an informal bid process. Due to the first one, we followed our purchasing policy in our formal bid process and received 0 bids. Excuse me. And also, I just want to let you know we got a upcoming water shutdown on Bethlehem Road, June 13th, which will be a Saturday. Majority of this shutdown is going to affect businesses. I think there might only be 1 or 2 homeowners that this will affect. We've placed notices out and let everybody know. This will be for the subcontractors for DOT to make all the necessary tie-ins on the water main. So we'll do that shutdown scheduled for June 13th. It's a Saturday, 8 to 5, with anticipation of only taking about 3 or 4 hours, but we'll give that lengthy time just in case something may come up. So if y'all got any questions just about that, y'all, or anybody ask you guys, y'all just tell them to give me a call and I'll walk you through it. Y'all got any questions?
We have the,
Thank you.
Thank you.
hang on, Brett. We have the
Yes.
Gold Star, Blue Star plaque on the 13th. Would that affect you guys? Are
That's
you guys
not
involved
going to
with that
affect
at all?
that. So my work with that, I'm actually, I'll be down at the Legion tomorrow morning,
Okay.
meeting with Carl and those guys. I've already met with them on site, found out the exact locations of that.
Okay.
Our part's very minor, per se, so we will have to auger the holes and mount the 7-foot tall poles.
Right.
I'm going to pick up that material tomorrow. I've already got the mounting instructions. We've already got a game plan in place. We'll try to have that done into this week.
Okay, great.
I've been told by them that they will probably hang on to the plaques until probably the day before.
Right.
And then I said, they're 4x3. They're pretty hefty
Yeah.
plaques. I said, well, if y'all need some assistance
Yeah.
mounting those, because they mount in a particular fashion,
Right.
to let us know, and we would come, be the muscle. So, but we that is that day. You're correct, but it should not affect that ceremony or nothing. I mean, I'll just be on that side of town working.
Right.
So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Hey, Brett,
Yes.
do you have an update on the flow meter at Bear Creek?
So I did get an email today. It was ordered the day after when it was approved last council meeting. Estimated shipping, they did backlog. Estimated shipping is the 20th. So I'm hoping that gets here a little sooner. But
Gotcha.
I did get the estimated shipping date today as June 20th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brett, they're going to have a walkthrough tomorrow at the the Veterans Park at 1 p.m. I don't know if you need to be there, but they're going to walk through the whole ceremony. So
Okay.
if you have any questions for me to ask them, I'll take care
Yeah,
of it.
anything that I might need to touch up or dress up or anything
Okay.
that And I might just come up here at 1 o'clock. I know I got a meet up with the Legion at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Yep, okay,
So, but yeah, I could make myself available.
all right, thank you.
So you're going there just in time for breakfast, huh?
Yeah, I was invited to breakfast. I didn't know they had that.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, it's time for the mayor's report, and I had a video that I wanted everybody to see. It's something that we did for the chamber. So take it away.
Welcome to Statham. My name is Mayor Debbie Krause, and we have a vision.
Hello, my name is Joe Davis, and I am the utility clerk and the deputy city clerk for the city of Statham. My main job is taking care of our citizens that come into the window, taking payments, and also taking calls from citizens, answering questions, pointing them in the right direction. My administrative duties include accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll, and utility billing.
My name is Catherine. I am a utility clerk. I am in charge of the business license and the permits. I am also fluent in Spanish and help all our residents that are only Spanish speaking. I'm happy to serve here.
I'm Brett Day with the City of Statham Public Works Director. Over the past 18 months, our Public Works Department has made significant strides in becoming more efficient, organized, and responsive to our community. We started by evaluating our internal operations and streamlining processes and improving coordination. We've reduced delays, eliminated redundancies, and ensured our crews are working smarter every day. One of the most impactful improvements has been in our water system. We've identified many customer water meters which were outdated and under-responding usage. Under-reporting usage and unresponsive. Over the last year and a half, we worked to replace those inaccurate meters to not only ensure fairness to our customers, but to also significantly increase our revenue by capturing water usage more accurately. Revenue that goes directly back into maintaining our water system. Additionally, this has strengthened our water loss reduction efforts. These efforts not only conserve vital resources, but also lower costs and improve service reliability for our community. Internally, we've invested in our facilities. The Public Works shop and office have been remodeled to recreate a more functional and organized workspace, including the addition of a dedicated break room for the employees. This has improved daily operations, boosted morale, provided our team with a safer and more supportive work environment. Another key part of this effort was evaluating our fleet and equipment. We identified unused, outdated, and failing equipment and vehicles. We eliminated the unnecessary maintenance costs by getting rid of these and auctioning them off. And we replaced them with more reliable equipment that better supports our crews in the field. This has improved productivity, reduced downtime, and ensured our team has the tools they need to get the job done right. Today we are more organized, more efficient, and better positioned to serve our community. And we're not stopping here. We're continuing to build a public works department that is accountable, forward-thinking, and ready for the future. A lot of you may not know that the city of Statham has a naturally running spring that has been running for many years that's been producing water for the city. We pump out about 120,000 gallons a day. It's equates to about 20% of our daily demand.
Well, hello. I'm Cheryl Venable, City Administrator for the City of Statham. Statham has 4 major events. Starting off with our Star Spangled Statham, celebrating the country's 250th birthday. We will move into Statham Sunflower Festival. This has been happening for over 30 years. The biggest event that Statham hosts is Statham Halloween, which brings in over 10,000 people in 5 hours. Rounding off the year, we have lighting of our Christmas tree. We love to bring events to our city for our citizens, to take that time to be with family, neighbors, and have some fun. And we're hoping that you will join us this year.
Welcome to Hillman Park. This is one of our projects planned for SPLOST 8, our field of dreams, so to speak, with ball fields, pickleball courts, and basketball courts, all with a vision for community to come together.
I felt the need for y'all to see that because it's a very well done production. We do this every year for the state of the cities, and it shows the things that are happening in our town and all the hard work that our employees do. So first, I want to thank those of you who supported me and my family during the illness and passing of my husband, Rudy Krause. I want to thank you and for your cards, and for those who took the time to attend Rudy's service yesterday. And I am truly grateful and blessed. Since taking office 2.5 years ago, the City of Statham has strengthened its financial position through a combination of strategic planning, proactive management, and operational improvements. During this period, the city has secured approximately $700,000 through grant funding and by identifying previously uncollected funds owed by developers. Most recently, the city was awarded an additional grant of $58,201 in May. Through T-SPLOST funding, another $1,232,260 has been invested in critical roadway improvements throughout the community. The city has also generated more than $90,000 in additional revenue through the sale of outdated and unused equipment. In 2024, the city launched a comprehensive water meter replacement program. to improve billing accuracy and system efficiency. To date, 342 meters have been installed, replacing an aging and malfunctioning units. Accurate metering is essential to ensuring the city receives appropriate revenue for services provided. While system-wide data is still being compiled, individual results demonstrate the impact of the program. For example, Public Works Director Brett Day replaced a malfunctioning meter at his residence and observed his average monthly measured water usage increase from 678 gallons to 9,825 gallons. Okay, this is our Public Works Director now. As a result, his monthly water bill increased from $24.66 to $87.80, reflecting more accurate usage measurement. In addition to improving revenue accuracy, the new meters have significantly reduced the labor and time required for monthly meter readings, resulting in operational savings. The city also conducted a long overdue review of services fees and updated its fee schedule to better align with current service costs and market conditions. These adjustments have further strengthened the city's revenue base and improved long-term financial sustainability. Collectively, these accomplishments demonstrate that no single initiative is responsible for the city's improved financial performance. Rather, it is a result of a series of thoughtful decisions, disciplined financial management, and a commitment to identifying opportunities that enhance efficiency, increase revenues, and better service the residents of the city of Statham. That is my report for today. Does anybody have any questions? I think we've done a phenomenal job, and we continue to do well in this city. And I want to thank my employees for all the hard work that they've done as we enter into the new budget year. Thank you so much. Do we have any committee reports?
No.
Okay. I need a motion then to enter into the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to enter into public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor, show of hands. Approved.
All right. Well, good evening again. It is my pleasure to present to you the proposed budget for fiscal year 27. As a reminder, we have a public hearing that will be starting shortly, and adoption is set for a called meeting on June 16th. That's all right. I got it. There we go. Starting with the general fund, this is the one we're most familiar with, and as I like to call it, the chief operating fund for the city. I have a high-level summary here, and of course you have the budget has been published on the website, distributed to mayor and council, and has been available since the 27th for public consumption. The fiscal year 27 overall revenues are budgeted at approximately $3.7 million. This is an increase of about $67,000 over the fiscal year 26 budget. The significant items that make up this change are an increase in taxes for electric franchise fees of about $118,000, as well as modest digest growth estimated at 2%, and the TAVT, or the ad valorem tax on vehicle purchases. We, again, noted from earlier, saw that increase influx in the end of fiscal year 26, and we anticipate that to continue through fiscal year 27. Additionally, we've forecasted an increase in business licenses for the implementation of the gross receipts method. This method is one of the 4 acceptable methods for assessing your occupational taxes, and it ensures that taxes are as equitable as possible by reducing the burden on smaller and lower margin businesses. So the concept is the more profitable businesses pay more. This will be critical to diversifying and strengthening revenues for the city of Statham as the 316 corridor continues to develop and we have some larger businesses coming into the city. Finally, these increases are offset in part by a decrease in the reliance on the subsidy from the Water and Sewer Fund by $50,000 this year. Based on a methodical cost allocation approach, the utility fund subsidy should be about $450,000. And we come to that number by assessing the general and administrative expenses that are housed in the general fund that also support the operations of the Water and Sewer Fund. We split those in half and say the Water and Sewer Fund should carry half of that burden and the general fund should carry the other half of that burden. That's where we come up with that $450,000. And as you're aware, we have taken steps over the past several budget cycles to get closer to that number. I believe when I started this process, our transfer was closer to the $750,000 level. So we've made great strides in this area. In fiscal year 27, we're going to continue that and get very close. On the expenditure side, which is on the right-hand side of your slide here, the overall expenditures for the budget for fiscal year 27 is balanced at the $3.7 million, but it is a decrease of $46,000 from the prior year. The significant changes to come to that reduction was some hard work because we had some citywide increases that were unavoidable. For example, in our group health insurance, we experienced a 15% increase in that premium cost. And again, with our property and liability insurance, we experienced and are budgeting for a citywide 9.5% increase. Personnel expenditures, we again are very proud of the staff here at the City of Statham, and the proposed budget includes an average increase, of course based on evaluations and all, an average increase of 4%, as well as continuing the annual and longevity bonus programs that we have here. We have increases in the general administrative and financial administrative departments for the implementation of a new ERP system, BS&A accounting software. The police department includes changes, includes 4 Axon cradle points at $62,000. That's a capital expenditure we're budgeting for in the general fund, as well as absorbs the canine department into the police department budget and removes the canine care and training expenditures. There were also increases in public works for additional tree removal and additional sidewalk and crosswalk repairs, as well as a new lawnmower and a truck for towing, better towing capacity. The truck, it's worth noting, the truck is split between the general fund and the water and sewer fund, as it will have a shared responsibility. These increases in the budget were offset by decreasing some lines, including the code enforcement department, as well as what I mentioned earlier, that the general fund will not have debt service in fiscal year 27. We took the expenditures that were requested, and they did have to be reduced to balance the fiscal year 27 budget within the revenue limitations of the 2025 digest with that modest 2% growth I mentioned earlier. So we are presenting a balanced $3.7 million general fund budget. All right, as a review of some budgetary fundamentals, I know y'all this is thrilling stuff, but it's exciting for me. This is how we kind of come about where we want to land with the budget, and this is the process. And I think it's helpful to just understand how we get to these numbers, and it's you know, it's not magic. There's a very thoughtful approach, and so this is the process. The first part on the left side of your screen is step 1, and we take all the requested expenditures from the various different departments, and any required transfers out for funding and other funds. And that determines our funding level required to perform the operations of the general fund. The resulting, and then we back out the revenues. So we take all of the general fund revenues that are not property taxes and any transfers in that we have, like the water and sewer subsidy we mentioned earlier, and we back that off of the funding level required. And so the resulting difference represents our shortfall in general fund funding, okay? And that shortfall is what we need property taxes to make up the difference, okay? So the second part is, on the right-hand side, is to calculate what property tax revenues we anticipate and what the millage rate would need to be to cover the shortfall in the general fund funding. So the proposed, and if the resulting, when we do that and we calculate what the millage rate needs to be, if the millage rate is not tolerable, which most oftentimes it's not, we kind of go back to the drawing board and say, okay, well, if we reduce expenditures, our shortfall goes down and we can reduce our anticipated millage needed, and we kind of find that balancing point where the millage rate's tolerable and the general fund operations and goals and strategic goals of the organization are still achieved. And so we find that balance. The fiscal year 27 proposed budget did have to be released per the charter by May 15th. At that time, the preliminary 2026 digest was not available from the county. So the best thing I could do at that point was estimate a modest growth to the 2025 digest, and we reduced expenditures to operate within those limitations. And so that's what you have here on the right-hand side is the calculation for what 6.65 mills would have brought in to offset the shortfall in the general fund funding. After the proposed budget was released, the county did provide the preliminary 2026 digest, and it is preliminary, so there could be some slight fluctuations. But the digest value did come in slightly above the estimated levels with my modest 2% growth, and it is sufficient to fund the proposed budget within the limitations we have, which will generate a rollback rate of the 6.262 mills. So we will be coming back to you at a later date in July to propose the rollback millage rate to support this fiscal year 27 budget. Good, okay. Sometimes that can be tricky. All right, presented here, we have the other governmental funds. So we talked about this briefly in our financial report earlier. You have other governmental funds, which are capital project funds for the city of Statham. The ARPA fund has to be closed by December 31st. We're really kind of accruing interest there, closing out some final projects, and the interest will be transferred out to the general fund and closed by December 31st. So there's some housekeeping in that fund. The LMIG fund accounts for the local maintenance improvement grant we receive each year from the Georgia Department of Transportation, and it is based on the city's center lane miles. And this grant requires a 30% match. So the transfer in you see is the $16,500 is the transfer from the general fund that represents that 30% local match. And then all of that has been budgeted for in expenditures, infrastructure expenditures rather. All right, here you have the SPLOST fund and the T-SPLOST fund. The SPLOST fund's estimated tax revenues for fiscal year 27 are about $350,000 with some investment income. And for the last time, we are budgeting the debt service payment for the Series 2012 Series bond, and the rest of those tax revenues will roll into fund balance for projects. The T-SPLOST fund is also accumulating tax revenues estimated at $650,000 for fiscal year 27. Those revenues are accumulating in fund balance, which is the budgeted surplus line that you see. We are required to adopt balanced budgets, and what this budget does is recognizes that those funds are being set aside in fund balance, budgeted as a surplus, so that they can be socked away, if you will, for a large project in the future. All right, the water and sewer fund. Your utility fund, this fund operates as an enterprise fund, meaning it should function somewhat like a business and be self-sufficient and operate based on the user fees that it charges. The water and sewer fund overall revenues are budgeted to increase by $35,000, while overall expenses are budgeted to increase by about $450,000. And that may sound alarming, but it really is a budgetary nuance where we're budgeting for that final debt service payment. So $260,000 of that is that Series 2012 debt service payment that you're seeing. And then additionally, the budget includes a capital purchase for a hydro excavator, and I'll let Brett speak to what that is if there are questions on that, at $100,000. And the utility fund's portion of that truck for towing capabilities is also included as an additional expense here, and the water and sewer fund portion of the BS&A software implementation is also budgeted in this fund. So your total fiscal year 27 balanced budget in the utility fund is approximately $2.8 million. And this slide is a summary of all of those things we covered in the previous slide. It itemizes your revenues, your other financing sources, which are transfers in and use of surplus, and then your fiscal year 27 expenditure expenses, and your other financing sources are your outflows. So your first two columns are your inflows, second two columns are your outflows, to result in a balanced net budget for fiscal year 27. And I look forward to your questions.
Sure, we'll probably have some during the week if we can email you.
And that's absolutely, I'm available
Yeah.
to you by phone, email, text, whatever suits your needs. I'm available to you should you have any questions, and we can open up the hearing for the public.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, without any further questions on the budget, we have 1862 Railroad Street rezoning.
Mayor and Council, I'll begin the public hearing by noting that this is a rezoning application for the creation of a subdivision of 8 lots along Mulberry Street. This is a project that was previously the subject of rezoning application that was denied. At that time, there were proposed conditions and a staff report related to the proposal, the proposed development. There's no new staff report on this particular application because it is substantially similar to what was previously before the City Council way back when. A copy of the proposed conditions of zoning that were being considered at that time have been included in your packet, as well as I believe the applicant has provided comments on those conditions that are also noted. I'm not sure if they're colored copies, but the blue copy, the blue language that you see on the proposed conditions are the responses from the applicant. The way public hearings for zonings are conducted, the applicant will have 10 minutes to present the proposal, answer any questions from the council. They can reserve as much time as they want, but their total time will not exceed 10 minutes. After the applicant has presented, any proponents will have an opportunity to speak. It will be counted against that 10 minutes of the applicant. And then anybody wishing to speak in opposition can speak. They will also have a total of 10 minutes. All individuals wishing to speak would be 10 minutes. So with that, if there's no questions for staff, who's technically not here, we'll just turn it over to the applicant.
Hey, Jody, ours looking in blue is the italics, what he responded with.
Yes, italics. I think it's the portion that's in the stapled portion of your packet. That's where the blue is. So.
It's in blue.
Yeah,
I'll dig through that.
that's okay. In any event.
2 copies of it.
I have an image of our plat. If you feel it's appropriate to put it up on screen for everybody to look at. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Chris Adamson. I live at 485 Southview Drive in Athens, Georgia. I work for Carter Engineering, and we prepared the plan that you see before you. I'm here with Mr.
Rob,
Rob.
make sure you speak into the microphone.
Sorry.
It's kind of low.
Is that better?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's better. Thank you.
Should I start over?
All our friends on.
You're good.
Okay. There's a lot to get into here, so I prepared some remarks here that I'm going to read from so I don't miss anything. So tonight we're requesting the Mayor and Council's consideration of our project. It's a 5.19 acre tract located at 1862 Railroad Street. We're proposing to rezone it from highway business to SR1 suburban residential. The owner, Rob Scott, understands and agrees to the zoning conditions that were previously documented in the prior rezoning application that Jody referred to a minute ago. So I'd like to briefly go over those clarifications. I'm just going to kind of do it in a bullet point form. So starting from the top, access to the site. We're not proposing any vehicular access to the site from Mulberry Street. All these lots will just be served by individual driveways. And each house will face outward towards their respective street. Regarding the house sizes and garages, the owner has selected multiple floor plans. All of them exceed 2,000 square foot minimums. Each will also include a minimum 400 square foot 2-car garage. Moving on to the architecture, the building elevations or their appearance from the outside. I've got images of those housing types too. I think they show up in your packet, I believe. If not, I also have them on the flash drive that we could put up if people want to see them as well. But just to move on and describe them and the process that we're going to use to get permits for these houses if we receive our zoning. The front elevations for the homes facing Broad Street and Railroad Street will be submitted to the City Council for approval as part of the permitting process. Once approved, those elevations will become binding. Homes fronting Broad Street will include front porches that will occupy about 50% of the front elevation. And no two adjoining homes will have identical elevations or looks. Moving on to trees and landscaping. We're going to try to save as many trees on site where it's feasible. We have to clear for the homes and for the septic field, so we have to do some clearing, but we'll try to leave as many trees as possible. In addition to that, 4 trees will be planted on every single lot per code. The proposed trees will be chosen from a list of approved species like dogwoods, oaks, maples, and elms. And each tree will be a minimum at planting time of 2 inches in caliper. And we're not going to allow any crepe myrtles to be proposed for any of those plantings. There's also a streetscaping that'll run down both of the major streets. A streetscape improvement plan will be submitted to the City Council for approval. Once approved, the streetscape plan will become binding and will be implemented as each lot is developed. There'll be a 5-foot sidewalk along Broad Street. There will also be another 5-foot sidewalk along Railroad Street. And due to the existing site constraints and the infrastructure and utilities on Mulberry Street, we are not proposing a sidewalk along Mulberry Street. The reason for that is that we just feel that there's not enough room there with the existing utilities. And if we were in the lots along Mulberry Street are some of our smaller lots. These lots are subject to septic approval. And if we were to shrink the size of those lots, it would make it very difficult to go through the health department to get septic permits on those lots. Let's see. Moving on to site lighting. Pedestrian scale lighting will be provided at 60-foot spacings on either new poles or existing utility poles if the existing utility providers will allow it. The lighting is intended to be residential in character and not commercial scale, and not too bright. And all the lighting will be shielded and the lighting will be directed downward. Regarding any possible HOAs or rental situations, this is a small project with only 8 individual lots, and it doesn't have the typical common space areas or infrastructure that a larger subdivision would have, so therefore we're not proposing an HOA to govern the neighborhood. And given the expected construction cost and property value of these homes, we want them to be owner-occupied in higher value homes, and therefore it wouldn't make financial sense to rent those out. So the renting of any of these new houses is not proposed. So to wrap up, the owner is prepared to comply with all the conditional zoning requirements that were posted earlier. We believe that agreeing to all these conditions will improve the project and will result in a quality residential development that will be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. We respectfully ask for your approval, your consideration tonight, and we'll be here to answer any questions you may have.
I think one of my questions is going to be about the rental thing and whether we needed to talk about putting the 10% deal in there. I do like these elevations. I ain't gonna lie to you, Rob. These are nice looking houses to me. Are you're gonna be the one that builds it or subs it out, or?
Yeah, most likely. I mean, the real estate market's, I'm Rob Scott, owner. I intend to build them right now currently. I'd probably do 2 at a time because they're going to be $500,000 houses, so we wouldn't want to put all 8 up at one time. But yeah. What do you plan on doing that existing house? Obviously wouldn't blend in with the houses that you're proposing.
We'll do it. It is currently rented. Basically, once I get the 8 lots, because I can't sell it right now. Once I get the 8 lots, I'll do a heavy renovation. Probably will not change the front too much, and just sell it. But we'll have to put the sidewalk there as well. But yeah, I wouldn't force to tin it out. But whenever they're ready to move, once I have 8 lots, I have no intention to hold that.
The elevations that we're looking at.
Yes, sir.
Are these the exact ones or just a similar height?
I think you've got the ones off of the house plans. These are the ones I have here, which are nearly exact copies. These are the ones we built. We're building these exact houses on the locations right now.
Yeah, I know at one time we had talked about more of the historical home type on Broad. A little different type than what would be on Railroad.
Well, yeah, I don't typically build these, but I have a couple of lots in Bogart that I made these floor plans for, and they're very good fits in those locations.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't typically build that expensive of homes, but since I had this project in mind when I did my Bogart project, and the houses fit very nice.
This one right here kind of fits the neighborhood.
Yeah, that one's great.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
That one's my, we've drawn up those floor plans, and I think that's we have the garage connected left and right, whereas that one shows it separate.
Yeah.
That's like a wraparound porch.
Yeah, with the.
And y'all did say 2-car garage?
Everything's 2-car garage.
So these,
All of them sideways setting, you won't see them from the front.
so these are gonna be the ones that you'd be building.
Right, which is the same as the ones that we provided are the, from the website, and then we have a designer go in and do a few little changes, and the actual floor plans are the ones
These will
that
be
I
on
provided.
septic.
Say again, sir?
Septic
Yes.
tank.
Septic,
Yeah.
yeah. They should all be 4-bedroom. Environmental health might cut 1 or 2 down to 3, but my intention is 4-bedroom. I mean, they're 22, a couple of them are 2,000, but most of them are 2,800 square feet. They're very large houses.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be 500 to 6 or?
I hope so, yeah. I mean, they will cost me $350 or $400 to build, so I would hope I would be getting it above 500. I would say 450 for the smaller ones that are like in the 2,200, and then maybe up to 550 for the. I've got one plan that's almost 3,000 square feet.
It's unfortunate that we can't, there's no way to get a sidewalk on Mulberry. Because
Yeah.
that helps tie the neighborhoods together.
I agree. It's a big ditch right there right now. It just isn't that. I mean, there's a street on the east side that I think it's got a sidewalk. I'm not sure. Yeah. So it would connect. It just wouldn't connect on all 4.
Would people be able to build a custom home there, or would they all have to go with your plans?
If somebody wants a custom home, we would, the requirements are that it gets approved by planning. And so if somebody wanted a custom home and it met the 50% porch and it met the sideways garage and the 2,000 square feet, certainly.
Yeah, what was the lighting again? What?
Lighting is 1 every 60 feet. Yeah. So my thought is we'll probably put, we'll try to place the driveways in such a way that you basically put a street light on both sides of the driveway. And hopefully that, on every lot, the lots are like 100, 120 feet wide. We may have to do 1 additional street light. We're proposing more what you would see on the side of a driveway, just a little light, not like a street light from Walmart. We kind of talked about that a year ago, and that's not a good look there.
Thanks.
See, I don't think there's any way you can do the sidewalk on Mulberry without, endangering the property line and setbacks and stuff, septic tanks, all that kind of stuff.
Cheryl, you looked at that and you just didn't think it was possible, right?
Y'all could easily block that ditch, I would recommend.
Yeah.
And
I mean-
again, we actually just did some rehab of,
Yeah, we just
Gulf
did some work over there.
Road.
Mhm.
Storm drainage pipe to be added to be able to utilize that ditch and public
Yeah.
right away for sidewalk.
I mean, it would be very costly. I mean, I would think there'd be it's a lot of fill, it'd probably be at least $100,000.
I'm sorry, how much?
I'm just shooting from the hip, 100,000. Just 5 foot of concrete, that's going to be probably 20 or 25, but fill all that fill, and you're going to have a culvert. You're going to have an engineer, they're going to have to engineer it and make sure the culvert's the right size. It would be a substantial project.
And you're not, I heard you say you're not proposing rentals.
No,
We
no, I mean, it
wouldn't
just,
want to see any.
no, I agree. I mean, a $500,000 house, your mortgage is $3,500, taxes and insurance, you're at $4,000. You can't even come close to that or rent it. Nobody's going to rent that. I mean, it's just not the numbers don't work. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
I want to let you know, Chris is going to be here on the 16th. I'm not going to be, so he's authorized to answer on my behalf. But I'm hoping to get all the questions answered tonight. So we're excited to get this project going. We're wrapping up Charlotte's Place, almost done down there, and I'd love to get these started and get 2 of them going later this fall. It'd be nice.
Yeah, thank you.
How about, you got a business card with your number? whoever we need to call if we have questions. Can we do that?
Yeah. You gonna leave theirs? I might have one too.
Make sure that you have our contact information.
Okay.
I'll leave it sure.
All right.
I'll just send that to the email.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay.
There's nothing else. The applicant has 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining of their time.
Okay. We can reserve that and then come back if there's further questions at the end.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application?
I'm not necessarily wanting to speak in opposition.
Name and address,
I'm sorry,
please.
Elaine Wright, 2098 Tallahassee Road. My question is concerning rent. There are corporations, out of town corporations, buying up houses right and left just to rent. Is there any way that it can be in there somewhere that I understand he's not going to rent them, but they can be sold for rentals. I know what he said about the rent, but rent is outrageous right now. That's my question.
Yeah, we can put conditions in that.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, if you want to, you have 2 minutes and 15 seconds, or you can rest. Okay.
Okay, number 3, we've got the developmental regulations ordinance.
I'll be very quick on this one. At least I hope I'll be quick on this one. This is, y'all may remember a month ago, part of the MS4 compliance that we are now under for stormwater management and maintenance from the EPD. EMI is overseeing the preparation of our manuals and regulations in order to make sure that we are compliant with the MS4 regulatory framework. They sent a number, like 4 or 5 different ordinances that they wanted to see adopted that need to be on the books in order to be compliant. The problem is they didn't look at our zoning ordinance. They only looked at our code of ordinances. Turns out we had 3 of the 5 already adopted. And what you have is a combination of the parts of the 2 that were missing and a couple other minor tweaks to the existing ordinances to conform to what EMI sent us as their model ordinances. So the reason why this is coming back now is we're putting it in the zoning ordinance where all the other regulations are. And in order to do an amendment to your zoning ordinance, you have to have a public hearing. So that's the reason why there's been a month-long delay. The regulations that are in here, the new ordinances that are in here, mainly deal with stream buffers and stormwater management. When somebody develops property, what type of stormwater detention has to be installed, what type of stormwater prevention and stream buffers and stream protections have to be in place, both during the development and post-completion. So, you have any questions? Happy to answer, but these are basically the versions that came from EMI with a couple of formatting tweaks to conform to our code.
Okay, any questions? All right. I need a motion to come out of the public hearing.
Motion to come out of public hearing.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, show of hands. Okay. Now we're going into our discussion items. The Statham Library Quarterly Update.
I called Rachel back because I know the council wanted the audit to be discussed, and our audit firm could not be here tonight. So I called Rachel back because the council wanted to ask some questions. Are you going to ask them tonight, and if so, under what category?
Yeah.
We discussed this last time, and I sent you an email.
Yeah, we can just wait till next work session.
Next work
Yeah,
session?
yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay, I'll give her a call
Yeah,
back.
okay.
Sorry about that.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Janet, and this is the quarterly report for the City Council. Abbreviated since we do not have our May stats. We just sent our May stats in, they haven't come back yet. So in your bright green bag there, you should have copies of some of our stats for April and May, including our book circulation for both months. That remains steady and improving. Our library visitors, our new patrons are picking up steadily, and we have always have different amounts of programs and participation of our patrons and children through adults. And so the numbers always vary because of the number of programs we have and what type programs they are and whether they're open to the public. Like the one in May where we had the bands visit. We had like 600 people.
That was really good too. It was great.
Which is not on here.
That was a good idea.
We have 2 study rooms now. We're available for public use, so those increase usually. And the only thing that's not on here is, because it's a different type of statistic, is our passports. We do have all 3 months for those, and we had a total of 518 passports for this last 3 months. That is, with May being the smallest, because it did decrease a little bit for the time. Everybody already had their summer plans made and that type of thing. Any question about the stats? Okay. You also should have a copy of our June calendar. Summer reading program began on May 22nd as soon as school was out. So far we've got 127 kids up through teens enrolled. The theme is, as you can see, unearth a story. And we have lots of dinosaurs available in the library for decorations, and you'll be seeing some around Statham also, because we're having an activity where the kids have to go around and look for dinosaurs. We've got many programs and activities for all ages through June and July to end on July 18th. Our July calendar has not been finalized yet, so you only have a June in your packet. The kids will receive prizes for every 10 books that they read for summer reading. And then if they reach 50 books, they have a coin that they use for our book vending machine for a free book. Teens and adults also get to register each time they return a book, and there will be drawings at the end of summer reading for prizes for the teens and adults. In addition to that, we also wanted to let you know that we have purchased a number of new games, learning games for the kids to use throughout the summer so that they don't lose their skills. So these mostly protect, they're like the leapfrog, is that leapfrog? Mm-hmm. Type things that they can check out, take home, and work on reading and math skills during the summer.
Fabulous.
And that concludes my report.
You guys do a great job. I love all the programs that you're offering.
Thank you.
And I even got kudos from my eye doctor about our library, and he's from Atlanta. So I was like, he has been by our library. So I thought that was awesome.
That's good.
He said we're doing a great job here.
We have people coming from all,
yes,
a lot of different areas for our programs.
Thank you for all the hard work. Y'all are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next on the agenda, discussion items will be impact fees, the presentation by Phil Sutton.
Mayor and Council, I'd like to introduce Phil Sutton. He is the president of Sutton Consulting, LLC. He has many years dealing with sales tax and service delivery strategy. He has most recently worked with Barrow County to look into and then eventually this past couple of months pass impact fees for the county. Take it away, Phil.
Thank you, Tim. I might add just that thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it very much. I've been consulting for about 15 years. I've been consulting for Barrow County for 15 years as well, and worked with the city of Statham on every sales tax negotiation you've had with the county. Lost, floss, not flossed, splossed, T-splossed. You don't have flossed. I've worked for the city of Gainesville, Flowery Branch, Athens, Clark County, consolidated government. I've also worked for Hall and Habersham counties as managers. Sales tax, of course. So I do special service delivery strategy negotiations and set up special service districts, do those calculations, and impact fees. So that's sort of right now I work primarily for an engineering company, DCCM. We do civil engineering and other things. Let's see, could we go back? Yeah, let's start with this one. Development impact fees are created because new development creates a need for more schools, roads, sewer systems, fire stations, jail services, recreation facilities. So impact fees are a one-time charge imposed on new development. It's a new revenue source for you if you adopt it. The expenses associated with providing these additional public services because you have new development coming in are paid for by the developer, not your current residents. And instead of all taxpayers contributing, the development community who's coming in and allowing the need for additional services is paying for that expansion of the service. So the financial responsibility for new infrastructure that is needed for the new development rests on those who directly benefit from the new development rather than the current residents. So the idea here is that new businesses, new residents coming in, if you don't increase the level of infrastructure you have, parks, police facilities, those services will be diminished, overrun, because you're no longer keeping up with the population. So this allows you to keep up with population growth in simple terms. So if we could go to the next one. Georgia law allows local governments to impose development impact fees. New development necessitates the expansion of capital facilities to maintain the adopted level of service. One of the things that you'll do through this process, if you choose to go through it, is to adopt a level of service that you currently have now, and so that you can maintain that level of service as your population grows, as your employment grows over time. So that's the idea. Impact fees represent a proportionate share of the cost of facilities that are required for this new development. And it has to be supported by an impact fee study. So the law requires that you do an impact fee study called a CIE, a comprehensive libraries, parks and rec, roads and bridges, public safety, which for you would include police, water supply, water treatment, and stormwater management. Go to the next. Now, the development impact fee will require you to adopt, after we do the comprehensive improvement element plan, then you would adopt an ordinance that effectively authorizes those fees. The funds are restricted to capital improvements that are identified, and I think the ones that would probably apply to the city of Statham would be police, library, and parks and recreation. If you're going, you probably already have impact fees in your water and sewer department. Those would be done by EMI as they help you set your water rates, sewer rates. Impact fees must benefit new development paying for it. There's some very specific implementation rules that would be outlined in the ordinance for you. I'd put those together and you would adopt those as the sort of final step in the approval process for impact fees. So there's two types of improvements that developers are often responsible for. One would be a project improvement that's a specific improvement for a particular project. For example, if you required that a large development that they install a park that's large enough to handle their subdivision, you could do that, but then you couldn't charge them a park impact fee per house. So they can, if there's a project requirement that's a system-wide project requirement, then that offsets the impact fee. So the developer has certain rights to, if there's normal additional requirements put on by the city council for them to develop their project. Usage and administration impact fees can be used, cannot be used for regular maintenance, operational expenses, although you can charge up to a 3% administrative fee to cover your costs for administration. The fees must be expended, the impact fees must be expended in the same service area where they're collected. So if we're collecting park impact fees, all those fees have to be identified as park impact fees and used for that purpose. We can't, if you had police impact fees, you're required to use those fees just for police, and they can't be intermingled. Funds not encumbered within 5 years must be turned back to the developer that paid the fees. Now, it doesn't have to be spent, it just has to be encumbered. So your accounting staff would just say, like you do with SPLOST funds or T-SPLOST funds, they're set aside in a fund for a particular purpose. So it's not complicated, but it is a requirement. Developers can appeal the fees. The normal appeal process is if the planning department is collecting the fees and makes a determination that the developer disagrees with, then they come to the city council as the appeals process. So you would be the one to hear the appeal if it was necessary. Direct benefit, the community must demonstrate that the fees provide a direct benefit to the developer in a proportionate way, that they're paying only their fair proportion of the cost of the new development. And we need to remember that you're limited to these 7 types of services. And so one of the first things we'd want to do if you're going to pursue impact fees is to identify the service types that you would want to charge impact fees for. So just looking at the blue, so one of the things we have to do as you have to create a 5-year schedule for system improvements. That's a list of projects that would be started and completed in 5-year increments. And we look at a 20-year time frame. So we're looking out from now 20 years into the future and determining how much more of a particular how much more you need to spend on facilities to keep them at your current level, given the rise in population and employment that we would expect. So we're doing a projection over time. You want to identify the funding sources in addition to impact fees. So if you're building new parks and you designate that we're going to want to do an expansion, we want something new and different than we've ever had before, that's not impact fee eligible. That's something you pay for with SPLOST funds. Your impact fees would be paying to keep that level of service as it is now as your population grows. So we prepare a list of potential projects and fees and what the proportional cost is per household or per employee for a business, and project that fee schedule in order to build out that 20-year plan that we create. So we want to identify the covered services. This amounts to an update in your comprehensive land use plan. So the procedure for updating, for approving it is very similar to your 10-year comprehensive land use plan approval process. And you would adopt the level of service. Generally, it's your current level of service is what you would adopt, and develop a schedule for improvements. And you can click on from there. You can go to the next one. Yeah, okay. So there's a step-by-step process that's articulated in the law. DCA, who governs this, the Department of Community Affairs, suggests that you should start off with clear and simple services that can be, and then it can be expanded more over time if you want to expand to other services. Impact fees may not be used to defray any regular maintenance or operating costs. You can charge that 3% administration fee. Impact fees must be expended in the same services areas where they collected. The blue box, if you take a look, the local government must address the following requirements. They first amend their comprehensive plan to add a capital improvement element. I'll show you what that looks like. Barrow County's capital improvement element looks like this. It's about a 30-page report that projects population growth, employment growth, and documents your 20-year capital plan for these specific areas. And then we calculate the cost paid to pay for that 20-year plan by by determining the growth that we expect in your population and employment. And so those factors become the formula. And so it's very, very meticulous accounting effort, or engineering effort, if you will. And as you go through the steps, I won't go through all of them, but it has to be approved by the Department of Community Affairs. Once this document's approved by DCA, then they authorize you to adopt an ordinance, and the ordinance looks like this. It's about 12 pages long, and you adopt it as part of your comprehensive land use plan set of ordinances. And then you're able to collect impact fees. Do you have any questions? Any observations?
How do you come up with is it a percentage, what you charge, the impact fee?
Yes.
The business that wants to come in and do whatever, how do you arrive at a figure or a percentage?
Yeah, we determine what you have invested already, let's say you're going to do this for parks. What's your current investment in your parks divided by the number, your population, and so we know about what your population has invested in the park system. And then as your population grows, you calculate if you want to keep that park, if you're $20 million, let's say, in your park system, then over the next 20 years, we want another $20 million of investment by new residents and new businesses coming in so that you can keep that same level of service. Same thing for police. If you have one police station and you think 20 years from now we're going to need to have one that's double that size or triple that size in order to maintain a proper police force, to, you know, facilities for the police force, same thing.
But this is a one-time charge.
One-time charge to, you know, so somebody applies for building permit for a resident, you know, one-time charge that they pay when they pay for their building permit. They'd also pay for the impact fee.
Is there a certain amount or that you can charge, or is there a max or a?
That's what we calculate.
Yeah.
That's what we have to calculate, that based on your current investment in whatever the impact fee is to pay for. What's your current investment in parks or?
This is where you come in.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's not simple. And it's a calculation that we have to go through to make sure that new person, this gentleman here that wants to build an 8-home subdivision, that each one of those permits, when he applies for the permits, he's going to need to pay for an impact fee that covers his proportionate share of the costs of the new facilities that are going to be needed to improve your police force, improve your library or your parks, to make sure that those folks are carrying their weight, so that you've got a certain investment that's been made by your citizens and your businesses over the last 20 years, after the last 100 years, right? And you don't want, and what you're trying to do is make sure that new people coming in don't dilute that investment that's been made by the folks who've been living here forever, right?
So each application for an impact fee will never be the same. They would vary with each application according to what they're wanting to do.
You're really charging residents, new residents, and so every resident, let's say you presume that on average a residential unit houses 2.8 people. Where do you find that 1/8 of a person? It's just a mathematical calculation, right? But residents in general, whether it's a mobile home or it's $1 million house, generally speaking, there's about 2.8 residents per residential unit, whether it's an apartment. So, in fact, as you know, the size of the house really doesn't matter. For a business, charge based on the number of employees they intend to hire. And so, those two things equal out. So for each employee, the business is paying about the same amount as the residential person is for bringing in their 2.8 people per resident. And so it's a fair, proportionate contribution that the business or the residential developer is making to contribute to a fund to allow you to keep your infrastructure up to speed.
Yeah, one of the concerns is it could discourage investors from coming in, having to pay impact fees. In your experience, have you seen that?
There is probably 50 communities that have impact fees, and many of them are in this area. So if you look around the counties, Jackson County, Barrow County, Hall, Dawson, Forsyth, can go on and on. Most of the communities in this area have impact fees already. The larger, Winder is in the process of going through an impact fee study right now. So I think that you're going to find, I believe Athens Clark has impact fees.
What time period from the time, let's say you decide to go forward with it to the time that it's finished?
6 to 9 months. It depends on how long, how quickly we can get information from your staff. So I would be needing to be working with your staff to develop this information, and part of it is developing a capital plan. If you already have, if you've got a 5-year capital plan or a 10-year capital plan, that's a really good start. If you don't, we're going to have to work on one.
Would that mean City Hall would have to hire another employee or two necessarily? No?
No, I could do it. I would do it. But I would need to work with your staff, finance staff, and police, if you wanted police. I presume that police, perhaps libraries, definitely parks, would all be good candidates for impact fees. So work with those department directors. Great questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, I got a question. So, I know Mr. Jackson kind of had some too. So this money, say police department, it can be used to fund the purchase of a building for a police department?
Absolutely.
Or you just purchase the land or to build a police department?
That's right.
Okay.
Exactly right. Or parks, park facilities, park buildings. Exactly right.
Is that just for building, or could be for equipment?
It can be equipment as long as it lasts more than 10 years. It's got to be capital, and SPLOST is 5 years. So this is 10 years. There's a lot of things that you think, well, that's an expensive piece of equipment, but it doesn't always last 10 years. Fire truck lasts more than, that's a 20-year item. Police car is probably a 3 or 4 year item. Now, if they bought, a command center, that might be a 10-year item plus. So it depends exactly. As long as you meet that requirement.
What would the investment be for Statham to do the study or even get to the point of having the ordinance done?
I'm sorry?
How much would it cost the city to get the study done or even get to the point of having an ordinance done and getting the process complete? How much total would it cost?
I would rather answer that, but if you want me to send you a proposal, I'll send you a proposal.
Okay.
If that's all right. I would rather do that than I can, because I need to understand exactly what the services are that you want to document.
Gotcha.
And I'd also like to know what your capital plan looks like now. If you've got a full capital plan, it's much simpler than if I'm having to work with your staff to develop one first.
Right. Okay.
That's key. So I don't want to avoid, I'm not trying to avoid your question, but I think we need a little bit more conversation before I can answer that.
I understand.
Any further questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
you have my
Thank you,
card,
Phil.
and I've provided sort of a brief letter that explains impact fees. So, if you're thinking about it over the next week or so, you want to sort of refresh yourself, that might help you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sutton.
And Nicole has my presentation, so Nicole, if you want to provide that to the City Council and Mayor. Okay. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Okay, number 3, amendment to the employee handbook.
Mayor, this is a carryover from last work session. As y'all recall, we had some discussion about, I think there were 3 topics specifically that we discussed. One was the approval of off-duty assignments and extra employment, shifting that from the mayor and city administrator to the department head for the employee, which I think was pretty universally, yes, we want to do that. The second one was the documentation required for when PTO is to be terminated early. There was pretty much a consensus on council. That's what we wanted to do, so we changed the language to reflect that. And then there was a third item that we discussed about holiday pay, and I think where we ultimately landed was it wasn't the text of the policy that was at issue, it was more the application. So this ordinance that's before you amends those two items, the off-duty work approval and the PTO termination approval. And so if y'all want to look over the ordinance and have any questions, let me know, but that just makes those two minor changes.
You'll probably just read this through this week, and, since we just got it this afternoon, so we'll get with you on that, Jody.
Of course. That's all, Mayor, for that one.
Okay. Payroll audit.
Mayor, I think we jumped the gun on this. I thought that I thought the PTO audit would be done, but it's not. So let's just wait until that's done, and then we'll get into the payroll audit if we want to reschedule that for the July work session, which is the 7th. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, if we can just move it to July 7th. Or do I make a motion?
If you want to, just to make sure it's on there for the next one, you can just do a motion to table to the July work session.
I'll make a motion to table the payroll audit till the July 7th work session.
Use the second. Which one? Okay. All in favor, show your hands. Okay. All right. Next one is Swift Car Wash.
Evening, Mayor and Council again. Bringing before you guys Swifty Car Wash. It's no contract. We did get 3 quotes. Tidal Wave wanted $18 per car, and then they wanted 10 or more cars. Wild Car Wash wanted $16 per car, and then they wanted 20 cars. We don't have a 20-car fleet. But then Swifty, the manager was willing to work with me with no contract and $10 a car with the minimum at least 8 cars. We have more than 8 cars. So I'm asking council to consider us to have a car washing for this upcoming year. So presentation goes a long way. And if you come to a house in a dirty car and you get out and you looking not the best, they're not gonna take you serious. So I'm asking mayor and council to give us this in this year's budget. Any question?
Where is that located?
In town, when you're going into Barrow, right there before you get to Golden Corral.
Winder.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And it comes with the basic wash, rinse,
Yeah.
dries the car, then it also put a little shine on your tires.
I
And
know.
then, of course, the vacuum's free.
Yeah. How often do y'all
Somebody's
usually
gonna have to vacuum that
wash
day.
them now?
Well, now, we don't. If we wash them now, you gotta pay out of pocket or use right here by City Hall here.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Get you a good wash right there.
Any questions?
No.
Going once?
All right.
So you don't currently have anything in place?
No, sir.
So who's doing it right
They are.
We are out of pocket or going to right here by City Hall, sir.
I mean, it's helpful having that kind of stuff. So I got
So that needs to be put into a budget item or,
With your cost on, I was $10 car, how many cars y'all have now?
We don't use all the cars, sir. Like, we have a couple that's at Public Works that's not in use. So we have a total of 15 cars, but again, not all cars be used and on the road at all time.
That 8-car minimum, monthly.
But 8 cars monthly minimum, but no contract. So say, for instance, chief say, all right, I got 8 cars, he rotate where we're going, because they're not going to even make us put stickers on the cars. The guy's going to give us like a little laminated with a little 3x5 card, so we can move them per cars or whatever.
well, we could include public works vehicles too as well, but we need to look at this as a budgetary thing, and we need to talk about in a budget hearing. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically, Michael, if you would find the annual dollar amount.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, if you will send that to me, I will send it to Rachel. That way we have a line item there, and then they'll discuss it during budget time. And is that the same thing for the next item?
Yes, ma'am.
Additional funds?
And so going into the next one, right now we have 1 extra phone and it's being used by 3 personnel. We have 2 shift supervisors and a young lady that came from another agency that's been working on some of the investigation, which we don't have an investigation division, but she takes pride into some investigation and she's worked some cases and she's been having to travel certain places, but we all know our cell phones are subject to open records. So we've advised her not to use her personal phone when dealing with certain things, and some of the cases she's worked on has been some pretty serious cases, so we're asking for 2 additional phones.
Okay, that could be submitted to the line items for the budget. Yeah. And send them over.
I thought y'all already had them all.
Thank y'all.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, Finance Committee ordinance.
Mayor, this ordinance was drafted at the request of Councilmember Torelli. This is the, so as y'all may know, the structure of the charter and the code of ordinances, the charter does not have any specific committees identified that are created. It just says that if there are standing committees, here's the rules for appointment and procedures, but then the charter allows the mayor and city council to create such committees as y'all want, standing committees and what have you. The only standing committee that is codified in ordinances currently is the tree committee. And so this proposed ordinance would create a standing finance committee. It's structured and modeled mostly off of what our tree committee ordinance already is, and it just lays out what the committee is, its structure, its powers, its rules of procedure, and coordination among city departments.
Okay, is this open for discussion? Okay. And the purpose for this?
The purpose for doing this was that the Finance Committee was dissolved, and looking in the future, I would like to make sure that there is a Finance Committee that is permanent, that is actually active, and that future mayors can't just simply decide to dissolve them at their whim.
I get that. Any further questions on this? And you are in charge of the Finance Committee. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there needs to be a Finance Committee. It just adds another layer of accountability on the city. I mean, it's a good look for the city to have a Finance Committee.
Yeah. Okay. We had very little participation in the Finance Committee. And also, is there going to be rules that are pertain to this Finance Committee as far as when agenda is set for this?
So as with all committees, it's obviously subject to the Open Meetings Act.
Okay.
That's a standard, I mean, that's state law. There's also a provision in the ordinance about rules of procedures that says that it conducts its affairs in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, Robert's Rules of Order, that it will appoint a chairperson who must be a member of the Finance Committee, and they preside over all meetings and how they vote on things. It's an advisory body as far as the powers go. It's mostly review. And periodic can make recommendations to the mayor and council. But as far as actual decision making, it's more of an oversight committee than anything else, and provide input on financial decisions and transactions.
Who appoints?
Under the charter of the mayor.
Okay.
That's something that cannot be changed.
Okay.
By ordinance.
All right. Anybody else got any questions? Okay. Does it have to be a city council member that's on this, or can it be anyone else appointed to?
So if I remember right, I believe it says that each member, the way it's currently structured, and again, this is modeled exactly after the tree committee, every member of the finance committee serves for a term of 2 years. They may be reappointed. I believe 4 out of the 5 members must be residents of the city, and no more than 2 members of the city council can be on the finance committee. And that's important because if more than 2 city council members are even in the room, that's immediately a meeting of the city council for which there has to be notice given, advertisements, postings, and what have you. So really, only 2 city council members can serve on it, and only 2 should ever be in the room when the finance committee is meeting.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? All right, moving on. We're talking about a financial policy amendment.
Mayor, this is one thing that's kind of been on the back burner and in the works for quite some time. I know that at least since 2024, January 2024, all of the policies, personnel policy, financial policy, there's been a lot of discussion about looking over them. This particular policy has been one, if I could set the scene a little bit, if you recall during our personnel policy discussions, their personnel policy was a gigantic document, over 100 pages. There was a lot of internal inconsistencies in that document. It also wasn't consistent with other ordinances and the charter in various places. This financial policy is very similar. It was last adopted and updated in September of 2014, I believe. So it's got some age to it. There's obviously been a lot of changes in Georgia law about auditing, about purchasing cards and credit cards of governmental entities. So it was very much time for a comprehensive look over and update. Additionally, not to throw shade at any prior administrations or employees, but it seemed like somebody found a form for a financial policy that didn't have it had a lot of fluff and not a lot of substance. So I apologize for the 40-page red line PDF you've got that looks like I committed some small felony with all the redlining that's on here. But I did that so that you could see kind of what was cut, why it was cut, things were reorganized and what have you, and then a clean version was produced to you. Additionally, several members of the city council had particular items that they wanted to include and update the credit card usage. There's a lot more robust regulation, and frankly, that needed to happen anyways because I am intentionally throwing shade. About maybe 7-8 years ago, there was a very public indictment involving a Georgia Tech professor who used a purchasing card for personal purposes and ran up tens of thousands of dollars in personal expenditures. In the wake of that, the General Assembly adopted subchapter 83 of 3660 that basically overhauled government credit cards, government purchasing cards, and one of the conditions is that there has to be very robust, specific provisions that we did not have. So that got added. The other thing is it provides now for a reimbursement for travel and travel policy and some rules and regs about that. I apologize for the lateness of my sending this to you, everybody. It got emailed today at 4 o'clock. I've been trying to chip away at this slowly over a month and a half or so. So I don't anticipate y'all will have any specific questions now. I would propose that this is nowhere close to ready. for voting in June, but at least now we have very much started in earnest. And maybe if you have questions, comments, emails, maybe even a couple meetings this month, even next month, and then maybe put this in the pipeline to be approved in July or August, depending upon how we progress. I hope I have scared you all away from asking any questions.
We'll be emailing.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to get them.
We got an email with like 50 attachments and 4 blocks.
I am both sorry and you're welcome.
Yeah. You used all my computer space.
That's all.
I apologize. Battery, well, here it comes. No. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, dokie. Now it is time for citizen input.
We have 2 citizens signed up. First is Kathy Bennett.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Bennett. I live at 409 Sunset Drive. And I learned something tonight, y'all. I don't know how many times I've stood up here and asked questions and waited for somebody to answer me. But Jody told me tonight that citizens are allowed to speak and that you all are not obligated to answer any questions. So I apologize if I've ever put anybody on the spot, and I'm happy to have learned something new tonight. So instead of questions,
I'm sorry, I didn't read the decorum right here, but.
I think it's okay.
Okay.
Okay. I know we're going to wait and work on the audit later. Just a couple of things I would like to say about the audit. I have no idea how it works, no idea what it's supposed to show, and what I'm about to say might not mean anything or be applicable at all. These are questions. These are my concerns. If you are auditing, or y'all not, but if the company is auditing something, here's what you have on paper, but you're going to have to take somebody's word for some of that, because I think some positions maybe don't always punch a time clock, and maybe they're not physically present when they're working. So I would like for that to be taken into consideration as to if somebody's really working or what they write on their time card. Jody, am I allowed to ask you one question? The 3 things that you said that they revised tonight, you said something about the holiday situation, pay situation, but that was not one of...
That's not included in the revision, the ordinance revision.
Okay, is that something that is going to be looked at?
It's, again, I think the consensus was, and forgive me, I'm not supposed to technically answer questions, but again, my understanding of the consensus of the council was it has nothing to do with the actual text of the policy, but rather the implementation.
And there already is a policy.
Yes, there are.
Okay,
Yes,
so
it's
the
already
question is the implementation. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's just take a real close look at that, please. I would also like for it to be noted when the payroll audit is done, to be sure that every city employee is getting a raise every year. And I know that it's based on merit. The department heads might have something to do with it, but I would just like to make sure that every employee is getting a raise. In my opinion, if you don't get a raise, why? If you're not doing a good job, then why do you still have a job? So I think every employee needs to have a raise. Some employees need a big fat raise based on what they do. Just my opinion. An audit should show this. An audit should show, I know in the budget it's not a line by line, Nikki makes this, Cheryl makes this, Brett makes this. So you can't, you can't tell them. Maybe that's not anybody's business, but in my imagination or in my thoughts, a payroll audit, somebody would be able to see that. So I just want to say that. And Jody, the red line thing that you just gave them that you murdered, would the public be able to see that and then how you revised it?
It's a public record.
Okay, and how would we do that? Just
I mean, I'm sure we
open
can make
records?
copies available at
Okay.
City Hall.
All right, that's it. Let's go home.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
See you around the
Ann
neighborhood.
Roundtree.
Ann Roundtree, 1931 Broad Street. First of all, I want to thank everybody on the council and the mayor and everybody who works here for making the city as wonderful as you can possibly do it. And I really appreciate it. We moved here 2 years ago from Gwinnett. As you can imagine, we're excited to be here, glad to be a part of the city. We want to do our part in anything that we can to help make it a better place. With that being said, I'm here this evening because of the speeding on Broad Street. That's where we live. I know there's other streets. I'm sure other people have their complaints, but it's we're on Broad, we're on our porch, we're walking our dogs several times a day, so we're out there. And we are seeing the speeders, and I've discussed it with a couple of the police officers to no avail. I have personally not seen anybody pulled over that wasn't a truck driver. Now I'm not saying they haven't, but I have yet to see it, and as I say, I'm out there a lot. I think a little deterrence, even just pulling them over and warning them, small city, being sweet and kind. You get a warning. The next time, you're making our quality of life less when you're speeding in our neighborhoods. And I know that is I was told it's a thoroughfare, but it's still our neighborhood. It's where a school, an elementary school is. It's where people are raising their children on that street. They have pets that get loose. I was walking 3 days ago, walking 3 of my dogs, had my hands full, and somebody screaming down the street, and their big dog was loose and running across the street. So I got the dog to come to my girls, and grabbed a hold of it. I ended up, of course, on the ground upside down. But that dog, if somebody was speeding at the time and looking at their phone as they do, they're going over the speed limit, 45 miles an hour, and they're looking at their phone. Me and the granddad who let the dog out, and the 2 little kids, could have seen a terrible accident. And thank goodness it didn't happen. But the point is, animals get loose, they get out, despite our best efforts to not have our pets, out. They can get out, they can get hurt. Our children, children can get out and get hurt. So I think my feeling is that if somebody is going to speed on our streets, anywhere in the city, if they're going to speed on our streets and make the quality of life less than it should be, then I think they can pay a ticket to help us take that allow us to take that money and improve the quality of life with our parks, with resources for the people who need it. Maybe, if they're going to take from us, they should give to us. So I personally don't have a problem with giving somebody, a warning, and then the next time you get a ticket. And if you do it often enough, then word's going to get out, and people are going to slow down. But I have yet to see anything happen on Broad Street that has helped slow things down. The other thing I'd like to say is that it's taken me over 2 years to realize that I think part of why they speed on Broad is because it is a big open road. You go through the 4-way stop, and it is just open. There's no cars parked along the side for the most part. I mean, there's rarely any cars parked along the side. The road is wide. It used to be 4-lane. You know, it's a big open road with nothing in the way. And so they just see it as just, let's go. I got to go, you know. And I think if we could do something, I've discussed it with some people in the know, and apparently we can't do speed bumps. We can't do a median, which would be gorgeous and would add to the city, but if we can't do it, we can't do it. But we need to visually break that up. Maybe paint the, you know, where the golf cart, or I guess the bike path is, paint that, you know, darker or brighter. And then also there's a road, Timothy Road, I don't know who's familiar with it, where they up Atlanta Highway, take a right on Timothy, and pretty quick, once you're on Timothy, you see big painted signs on the ground, on the street. I can't remember exactly what they were, but they tell you, you know, it's a school area, this is the speed limit. You know, you don't have to look to find a little speed. I mean, it is right there and you know it. And for me, I automatically slow down more than I would for just a sign. So I'm just wondering if we can do some things that aren't too expensive. Paint more, you know, paint to narrow that road down, visually narrow it down. So paint those lines. We could certainly use some crosswalk, you know, in between the house, the little side streets, because those are crosswalks and they're just not that well marked. To just break that up a little. I had somebody kind of come at me as I was walking that, you know, they just didn't have any idea there would be somebody in the little aisle, or what's that called? I can't think of what it's called. What did you say? The alley. They just didn't imagine somebody would be walking there, and I was, and so that was a little frightening. But I think
5 minutes.
Okay, so thank you for your consideration, and I will be back next month to see what y'all said. Thank you.
That's all we have, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor? Show of hands. This meeting is now adjourned.